I noticed him 3 weeks ago at my usual coffee shop. A middle-aged man with a telephoto lens pointed directly at me through the window. When our eyes met, he quickly looked away, but not before I caught him snapping another photo. That was just the beginning. The same guy appeared near my apartment outside my office, even at the grocery store. Yesterday, I finally discovered the truth. My own brother Nathan had hired a private investigator to document my failures. Too bad for him, there were none to find. Before I dive into this wild story, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever been underestimated by your own family. Growing up in a modest but well-maintained colonial house in the Tupelo suburbs of Boston meant expectations were always sky high. Both my parents built their lives around academic achievement. My father, a tenured physics professor at MIT, filled our bookshelves with scientific journals and academic awards. My mother, equally accomplished as a linguistics professor, spoke 6 languages and expected nothing less than excellence from her sons. Nathan, my older brother by 5 years, seemed genetically engineered to fulfill their dreams. By age 10, he played 3 instruments, maintained perfect grades, and captained his soccer team. Teachers called him a prodigy. Relatives fawned over his achievements at every family gathering. Nathan became the golden standard against which I was inevitably measured. I was different from the start. While I performed adequately in school, my mind wandered to business opportunities others overlooked. In 3rd grade, I sold handmade bracelets to classmates, turning a $20 investment into $80 in 2 weeks. Instead of praise, my parents dismissed it as a distraction. "Stephen, focus on your studies," my father lectured. "These little schemes will not get you into a good university." My mother would add, "Look at Nathan. He never wasted time on such trivial pursuits." The disparities in how we were treated manifested in countless painful moments. On my 12th birthday, my parents completely forgot our planned celebration. I waited for hours at the kitchen table, with a homemade cake I had baked myself. They returned home at 9, apologetic, but beaming with pride, as Nathan clutched yet another academic trophy. "We lost track of time at the ceremony," my mother explained, barely noticing my disappointment. "Nathan received the highest mathematics honor in the state." My high school graduation ceremony became another exercise in invisibility. While other parents crowded around their children, mine spent 45 minutes photographing Nathan with his former teachers, despite the fact that he had graduated years earlier. "Stephen, give us a minute," my father called when I approached. "Professor Williams wants to discuss Nathan's doctoral research proposal." Christmas, my junior year of high school, crystallized the imbalance perfectly. Nathan unwrapped a brand new MacBook Pro and a first edition physics text worth thousands. My gift, 3 paperbacks on college preparation. Despite their dismissal, my entrepreneurial drive continued. I founded the Young Entrepreneurs Club at my high school, attracting 30 members and organizing a successful fundraiser that netted $5,000 for a local shelter. My parents skipped the event to attend a lecture where Nathan was the youngest presenter. When I sought $500 to launch an online tutoring platform senior year, my request was met with derisive laughter. "You need to focus on college applications, not these little ventures," my father said. "Academic credentials are what matter in this world." My mother added, "Nathan never needed to beg for money. He earned scholarships." The breaking point arrived during a tense family dinner shortly after I turned 18. I had received acceptance letters from several colleges, but also had a solid business plan for a small startup. "We will only support you financially if you attend university." My father announced, butterknife pointed at me like a weapon. "Business ventures are for those who cannot succeed academically." My mother nodded in agreement. "Nathan is the youngest doctoral candidate in his department. That is real achievement, Stephen." That night I packed my belongings, withdrew the $200 from my account, and left a note explaining I would make my own way. The message was brief. I would succeed on my own terms, not theirs. Neither parent called for 3 days, and when my mother finally did, her primary concern was what the neighbors might think of my departure. Chicago welcomed me with its notorious winter and indifference to newcomers. My first apartment measured barely 400 square feet, located above a convenience store that attracted drunken arguments at 2 in the morning and police sirens at 3. The bathroom ceiling leaked whenever my upstairs neighbor showered, and the radiator clanked like a percussion instrument all night. I secured 2 jobs within my first week: morning shifts at a diner near Wicker Park and evening security at a supermarket in Lincoln Square. Between positions, I slept on public transportation, creating a cobbled-together life that left me exhausted but independent. Every dollar beyond rent and groceries went into a savings account labeled Future. Each call from home brought news of Nathan's triumphs. He received another fellowship. He published in a prestigious journal. He spoke at a conference in Vienna. Meanwhile, I worked 60-hour weeks while developing my business plan at night, often falling asleep with my notebook on my chest. 8 months after arriving in Chicago, I launched my first venture: handcrafted accessories, sold through an Etsy shop. I invested $3,000 every penny of my savings into materials, a decent camera, and basic inventory. Initial sales showed promise, but manufacturing costs exceeded my projections, and competitor prices undercut mine by 20%. After struggling for 2 quarters, I closed shop with $800 in debt and damaged confidence. The same week, my business folded. My mother called to share that Nathan had been accepted to Harvard for his postdoctoral research. She described the congratulatory dinner they planned, never once asking about my situation. That night I sat on my fire escape, watching trains pass below, wondering if leaving had been a mistake. Fate intervened 3 weeks later at the diner where I worked. A regular customer named Marcus always ordered the same breakfast: 2 eggs, over medium sourdough, toast, black coffee. He tipped well and worked on his laptop for hours, typing furiously between bites. One morning, I noticed sophisticated code on his screen. "Are you a programmer?" I asked while refilling his coffee. Marcus looked up surprised. "Full-stack developer, working on a marketplace platform for a client." Our conversation revealed he freelanced for tech startups building platforms that connected sellers with buyers. As he explained the technical aspects, my mind raced with possibilities. What if there was a marketplace specifically for artisans, I suggested? Not just anyone selling crafts, but verified professionals with premium products. A place where quality, not price, was the primary factor. Marcus stopped typing and really looked at me for the first time. "That is actually a good idea. The current platforms are oversaturated with amateurs." Over the next month, we met regularly after my shifts. Marcus sketched technical architectures, while I outlined business models. We identified a significant gap in the market. Serious artisans wanted to distinguish themselves from hobbyists, and discerning customers were willing to pay premium prices for authenticated quality. Thus, Artisan Link was conceived, a curated marketplace where only vetted professionals could sell and buyers could trust they were purchasing expert-crafted items. Marcus agreed to build the platform in exchange for 20% equity and a deferred payment plan for his services. I continued working both jobs, adding a weekend position, delivering packages to fund initial development. My schedule became brutal work, from 5 a.m. to midnight sleep, for 4 hours repeat. After 3 months, I met Jessica at a small business networking event. Her marketing expertise complemented our technical and business foundations, and she joined our team for 15% equity. The next 2 years tested every ounce of my resolve. We launched Artisan Link with 12 artisans and a rudimentary platform. Technical issues plagued our first month, with the site crashing whenever more than 50 users browsed simultaneously. Payment processing failed intermittently. Artisans threatened to leave when sales remained slow. 3 times we approached bankruptcy. The first crisis came when our server costs tripled unexpectedly. The second arrived when a competitor launched with significant venture backing. The third and most severe occurred when our payment processor froze our account during an identity verification that stretched from the promised 2 days to 3 excruciating weeks. Through it all, I told my family nothing. Occasional calls from my parents, always centered on Nathan's accomplishments, or subtle inquiries about when I might return to education. I deflected with vague references to work going well, and changed the subject. Their assumption that I remained a service worker with failed ambitions preserved my freedom from expectations. The turning point arrived 37 months after leaving home. Artisan Link processed $1 million in monthly transactions, hosting over 400 verified artisans across North America. Our revenue model, taking 12% commission on sales, generated consistent profits for the first time. An angel investor discovered us through his wife, who had purchased a hand-forged knife through our platform. Impressed with our curation process and retention metrics, he offered $500,000 for 8% of the company, valuing our startup at over $6 million. Despite this success, I maintained my modest lifestyle. I moved to a better apartment, but chose a reasonable one-bedroom rather than an extravagant loft. I replaced my decade-old car with a reliable but unflashy sedan. Every available dollar went back into the business, fueling international expansion into European and Asian markets. By year 5, Artisan Link operated in 5 countries with artisans from 27 nations. Our annual revenue exceeded $2 million, with healthy profit margins and no outside investment beyond our initial angel round. We opened a proper office in downtown Chicago, hired 12 full-time employees, and implemented health benefits and retirement plans. Throughout this growth, I maintained radio silence with my family regarding my true circumstances. When my mother mentioned Nathan becoming the youngest tenured professor at MIT, I offered simple congratulations, without mentioning that I had just closed a partnership with a luxury hotel chain worth $300,000 annually. When my father boasted about Nathan appearing on the cover of an academic journal, I said nothing about my feature in Entrepreneur magazine. This separate piece continued until 3 months ago when I first noticed the man with the camera watching me from across the street. The surveillance began subtly. A man in his 50s, professionally dressed but forgettable, appeared outside my favorite lunch spot. 2 days later, the same face emerged from a sedan parked near my office. Within a week, he showed up near my weekend running route, pretending to read a newspaper but clearly tracking my movements. Initially, I assumed he might be a competitor researching Artisan Link, or perhaps a potential investor conducting background research. I altered my routine slightly but took no serious action until I discovered a small wireless camera nestled in the plant outside my office door. Alarmed, I swept my apartment and found nothing but a mechanic discovered a GPS tracker magnetically attached to my car frame during routine maintenance. This crossed a line from observation to invasion. I contacted Jordan Willis, head of security for a client who manufactured high-end safes, and explained my situation. "This sounds professional," Jordan said after examining the devices. "Not top government level, but definitely an experienced private investigator. You need to find out who hired them." Jordan connected me with his former colleague, a retired detective who now specialized in counter-surveillance. For $7,000, he agreed to identify my shadow. Within 2 weeks, he provided a name, credentials, and the bombshell: the private investigator worked for Clarkson Investigations, and the client who hired him was my brother Nathan. The revelation felt like concrete in my lungs. My own brother had hired someone to spy on me. But why? What could he possibly gain from tracking my movements? Through my attorney, I subpoenaed the investigator's reports to Nathan, a move that succeeded primarily because the PI feared losing his license over the illegal tracking devices. The documents revealed a systematic 3-month campaign to document my failures and dead-end existence. One report read, "Subject lives in modest apartment, valued at approximately $1.400 divided by month in rent. Drives a 2019 Toyota Camry. Works at office building in business district, but appears to be a mid-level employee at best, based on hours and attire. No evidence of significant financial success or career advancement." The most disturbing discovery came in emails between Nathan and my parents. In one message, Nathan wrote, "I have confirmed Stephen continues to waste his potential. As you update your estate planning, I believe we should discuss whether maintaining equal inheritance remains appropriate given the vastly different paths we have taken. I have contributed to academic advancement and family prestige, while Stephen has achieved nothing of significance." My parents' response showed mild resistance but troubling consideration. "While we have always planned to treat you both equally, your points merit discussion. We will review our arrangements next month. The investigation had a clear purpose. Nathan wanted to cut me out of my parents' will by proving I was unworthy. The brother I had grown up with, competed against, and ultimately left behind, wanted to ensure I remained behind him forever, even after our parents were gone. That night I sat in my darkened apartment staring at the Chicago skyline. The pain cut deeper than any childhood slight. This was calculated betrayal from my only sibling. For a week I could barely function. Jessica ran interference at the office while I processed the shock. Marcus stepped up to handle client meetings I could not face. After 7 days of emotional paralysis, clarity emerged. I had spent years hiding my success, partly to avoid my parents' expectations, but also to prevent exactly this scenario competition with Nathan. By concealing my achievements, I had inadvertently created the perfect opportunity for him to attempt this final dismissal. The time for shadows had ended. I contacted Clarkson Investigations directly and scheduled a meeting with Thomas Clarkson himself. The gray-haired investigator seemed uncomfortable when I entered his office. "Mr. Harrington, I want to assure you our firm operates within legal parameters. The devices you found were not authorized by us." I waved away his concern. "I am not here about that. I want to hire you." His eyebrows rose. "Excuse me. Same firm, different investigator. I want a complete financial workup on Nathan Harrington of Cambridge, Massachusetts. Income, debt, assets, spending patterns, everything." Clarkson hesitated. That would be a conflict of interest. I placed $20,000 in cash on his desk. "Consider it a priority client fee. I need results within 7 days." The report arrived in 6. While Nathan maintained the appearance of academic success, his finances told a different story. Despite his prestigious position, he carried over $180,000 in credit card debt, had refinanced his mortgage twice in 3 years, and had taken personal loans from 3 separate institutions. His spending revealed the truth. Designer clothes, first-class travel, a boat he rarely used, country club memberships, all to maintain the appearance of the golden child. His academic salary, while respectable, covered barely half his monthly expenses. Nathan was drowning financially while projecting perfect success. Armed with this knowledge, I booked a flight to Boston and texted my parents, coming to visit next weekend. Important family matters to discuss. Please make sure Nathan attends. Then I prepared the most important presentation of my life, the unveiling of the real Stephen Harrington. The family home looked smaller than I remembered. My mother answered the door, her embrace stiff with surprise at my unannounced arrival. My father emerged from his study glasses, perched on his forehead, offering a handshake instead of a hug. Nathan arrived 30 minutes later, his confident stride faltering only slightly upon seeing me in the living room. "Stephen, what a surprise," he said, voice carefully modulated. "Taking time off from your work." "I took time specifically for this meeting," I replied, maintaining eye contact until he looked away. Once everyone settled in the dining room, I opened my laptop and connected it to the television. Before we begin, I want to address why I really came here today. I displayed the first slide photographs of me taken by the private investigator, followed by the tracking devices and the reports sent to Nathan. The color drained from my brother's face while my parents looked between us in confusion. "What is this?" my father demanded. "These are surveillance photos of me taken by a private investigator hired by Nathan." I turned to my brother. "Would you like to explain why you had me followed for 3 months? Nathan attempted indignation. "I have no idea what you are talking about." I displayed the contract with his signature, followed by payment records from his personal account to Clarkson Investigations. "You paid $37,000 to have me followed. The question is why?" My mother gasped. "Nathan, is this true?" When he remained silent, I displayed the emails between Nathan and my parents regarding the inheritance. My father read them aloud, his voice growing increasingly troubled. "You wanted to cut me out of the will by proving I was a failure," I stated flatly. "But your investigator missed something important." The next slide showed our company logo. I founded Artisan Link 5 years ago. We are a curated marketplace for master artisans that operates in 5 countries, generates over $2 million in annual revenue, and employs 27 people. I clicked through slides showing our office press coverage and financial highlights. My parents stared in disbelief. My father removed his glasses, cleaning them repeatedly, as if the action might change what he was seeing. My mother covered her mouth with her hand. "But you never said anything," she whispered. "Would you have listened?" I asked quietly. "When did you ever show interest in my business ideas?" The room fell silent. Nathan pushed back his chair, face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "This is some kind of trick," he snapped. "You are showing revenue, not profit. I bet you are barely staying afloat." I displayed our profit and loss statements for the past 3 years. We have been profitable for 31 consecutive months. Our company valuation at last assessment was $17 million. I turned to face him directly, which brings me to the second part of my presentation. The next slides showed Nathan's financial records, the massive debt, the refinanced mortgage, the personal loans. "You projected success while accumulating debt to maintain appearances," I said calmly. "You tried to cut me out of an inheritance because you desperately need the money." Nathan lunged across the table, but our father caught his arm. "Enough. Is this true, Nathan?" The facade finally cracked. "You have no idea the pressure," Nathan said, voice breaking. "Always being the successful one, the one everyone expects greatness from. I could never show weakness or failure, and I could never show success," I responded. "Because in this family, only your kind of success ever mattered." My mother began to cry. Decades of family dysfunction crystallized in a single moment. My father looked older than I had ever seen him. "Why are you showing us this?" he asked. "Not for money," I clarified. "I do not want or need anything from your estate. I built my own success despite not because of our family dynamics." I closed the laptop. "I am here because I refuse to be betrayed by my own brother and have my life misrepresented to you any longer." I stood to leave, but paused at the door. "Nathan, I understand the pressure you felt. If you want to talk about restructuring your finances and finding a sustainable path forward, call me. But not until you are ready to approach me as an equal, not a failure to be manipulated." The next 6 months brought slow, tentative changes. My parents visited Chicago, touring our offices with evident pride, tinged with regret for what they had missed. My mother called weekly, asking genuine questions about the business for the first time. My father sent articles related to online marketplaces with brief notes. "Thought you might find this interesting." Nathan took longer. 3 months passed before he called, voice humbled, asking if my offer still stood. We met at a neutral location in New York, where I connected him with a financial advisor who specialized in debt restructuring. In exchange for his expertise teaching our artisans to build their personal brands, we provided a consulting fee that helped address his most pressing debts. At the company holiday party in December, I introduced a new initiative, an educational foundation, providing business training for young entrepreneurs from disadvantaged backgrounds. The entire family attended, with my parents donating the initial $10,000 and Nathan volunteering to teach communication skills. Standing there, watching my brother actually listen to one of our artisans explain her process, I realized the investigation had delivered an unexpected gift. By trying to expose my failure, Nathan had instead forced us all to confront the damaging patterns that had shaped our family for decades. True success never comes from external validation or comparison to others. It emerges from living authentically and building something meaningful on your own terms. Sometimes the people determined to expose your weaknesses accidentally reveal your greatest strengths instead. Have you ever had someone try to bring you down only to inadvertently highlight your success? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences of overcoming family challenges. And if you know someone dealing with family jealousy, share this video with them. It might give them the strength they need. Thank you for listening. And remember, success is best when it is on your own terms, not someone else's definition.